Good evening. Thank you for joining us. And we'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. If everyone would please take note of the emergency exits. We're very excited to be back in the middle school library. They've done a great job with the restoration work. We're very grateful to everyone and to the custodial staff for all of the work that they did to get this space ready to open and for us to come back here. So we're grateful. If everyone will please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
back, we can roll, please.
Sure. Mrs. Geller?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mrs. Snyder?
Here.
Mrs. Gendron?
Here.
Mrs. Paradis?
Here.
Mr. Rose?
Here.
And Mrs. Carey.
Here. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent O'Shea for district reports.
Thank you and welcome everyone. We're happy to be back here as well. A lot of room. I shared the opening of school reports by building with you. So opening went very smoothly. Just a few little items here and there as shared on your report. What I wanted to start with, and you have a couple documents, I wanted to give you an update on our enrollment first as we start the school year. So this is as of today, as compared to Bed's Day, October 4th last year. So very similar point in time. Bed's Day this year is October 2nd, just a plug for everybody. And then you have to keep your data as of that day. But if you look overall, our enrollment is down 55 students, not counting pre-K. Lansing enrollment has decreased by 24. Harmony Hill enrollment has stayed exactly the same, although not all the same makeup. Mr. Perry and Harmony Hill have 10 more ELL students this year as compared to last, and many who just arrived this week and last, I believe. Van Skyke is down by 11. Middle school is down by 38. You might recall last year there was a big increase at the middle school. And then Cohoes High School, you are up by 19 students. So you're as you know, your enrollment has increased. So that's our enrollment report. As we get to Bed's Day, we will provide it broken down by all the different areas, students with disabilities, different subgroups. I just wanted you to have an overall number as of today. Any questions or going forward, any other enrollment demographic data you would like? Okay. So the next piece that I'd like to discuss a little bit is, remember to, going forward, we'll include this on each of the board meetings as discussed last year in terms of, school climate, school safety. So just a few updates first. We have a wonderful new campus safety monitor at Harmony Hill. Abram Lansing had a safety monitor and he did not start with us. So we are now looking for a new safety monitor there. He was appointed, and middle school is also looking for a campus safety monitor. In the meantime, there are safety officers. High school is fully staffed, and the middle school has a part-time safety officer, campus safety monitor in addition to their current full-time. And the campus safety officers go where needed in case of an emergency. We did find out, unfortunately, that we did not get the school, that the city did not get the school resource officer grant this year. You're going to see on the, I don't know if we added it to the final slide, but we're going to be asking those committee members on the safety committee if you can join us on October 7th for a safety committee meeting. I will send you an email. That is when the mayor and the chief can make it, and we'll discuss some alternative models there, and then bring it back to the board. I just wanted to give you an update on that. In terms of some of our proactive measures, Handle with Care is going extremely well. Just a reminder that that is where the police are communicating with myself and with Rachel Marcel each morning. We are then notifying the appropriate schools as to if there was a situation involving one of their students. And the feedback from all of the principals has been that that has been very beneficial. The schools started their year with the Code of Conduct assemblies, with PBIS kickoffs, and the Positivity Project is resuming at the high school, and second step at the elementary and middle school. So one of the things that you also have in front of you is some disciplinary data for the middle and high school. We'll continue to provide the quarterly reports from all buildings in your updates. We did the middle school and high school as of this point. I'm not sure if the elementary had any suspensions as of this date or no. So no suspensions as of this date. So we have the middle and high school data here. I wanted to just talk a little bit about this data and then again get some feedback from you as to how you would like the data presented going forward. But this is by number of students, not number of incidents. So for example, in physical altercation, if it says 3, that doesn't mean there were 3 altercations. In this case, it means the number of students that were involved in an altercation. So going forward, this is how the report automatically can generate from School Tool, but going forward, we will break it down into also number of incidents, number of students, and then continue tracking for you how many of the students, and I know the question came about like repeat offenders, how many. As of this report, in terms of the suspensions, none of the students are repeat offenders. So any questions or any suggestions on how you'd like to see this report going forward, other than breaking it down by also number of incidents and repeat offenders?
I'm not sure if this is possible, but is there any way to get year-over-year statistics? Like, is this, it seems like a lot, but it may not be a lot, just to compare apples to apples, like, all right, we're typically at this place or we're whatever.
So I know I can give you quarter to quarter because we're using 2 different student information systems. It's going to be difficult to say as of this date. Going forward next year, we can fine tune it to as of this date. But that is something that you'll have in your quarterly report. Anything else in terms of the specific data? And we're going to talk some more, but I just wanted to make sure you're getting the data that you need first. Okay, good. Another question came up if it was by cohort or by credit. So this is by credit, which means if a student is in 9th grade listed here, they might be an older student who has the credits of a 9th grader. There can be a cohort report run that's a special request, I believe, and we can ask for that. I need to talk to Katrina some more about that. So in terms of the data, I do want to first of all, and Laura and Heather are here tonight. Heather Bratt, Assistant Principal, Laura Tarlow. They're going to be able to answer any questions. Mr. McFarland and Mrs. Kelly aren't here this evening, so if you have questions, you can relay them through me, or we can also address this at the next meeting. I do want to say that, so first of all, there are a number of interventions that the high school puts in place. You might recall a tutoring center is new as of last year, and that's going very well. In-school support versus in-school suspension. And again, that's going very well. Working with teachers on some conflict resolution strategies. That being said, in reviewing these with both Mrs. Bratt and Ms. Tarlow, there are some more supports and programs that we are exploring to put in place to meet the needs of some of these students. I want to mention something that we were just on the phone today with BOCES, that could also be another model, and it is also more costly, cost savings and tutoring. They have a virtual learning academy for certain students who might benefit from that type of academy in terms of anxiety, et cetera. So we're going to be presenting more about that, but hot off the press today. So that's one type of example. Before I open this up to questions, I do also just want to acknowledge some recent events, and I want to first of all commend Mrs. Bratt before we go any further, because as you know, a student who was not a resident entered the building today, and Mrs. Bratt was able to quickly recognize that that was not a Cohoes High School student, get safety escorted the student out, and then the police quickly responded. So I wanted to thank you. Just a reminder, we have a single point of entry. We have campus safety monitors at that entry, and we'll be continuing to look at that, see if there's any additional staffing needs. But I wanted to talk about that today, and then also open it up to any questions for either myself or Mrs. Tarlow or Mrs. Bratt.
So I just want to first thank Mrs. Tarlow, Ms. Brott, for your actions this morning and every morning, but in particular this morning, your ability to build relationships with the students, to know your students, mitigated something that may or may not have gone bad. So thank you very much for that. We're grateful for you. Anyone have any questions? Anything else?
So just a comment, really. I mean, without having like year-over-year comparison or data, it feels to me, just after receiving this information over the course of time from being at the table for a while, that this is a kind of common occurrence at the beginning of the year to make sure that we are setting expectations. Kids are being held accountable for not meeting them, communicating and, finding the right placement for maybe some kids who are transitioning into our district. And so I was just curious, not to put you on the spot, but just anecdotally, if you could speak to that, as far as what these numbers look like in front of us.
Hi. I don't have the data from last year, but I think
That's
there's
okay.
an uptick in September.
Yeah.
You don't know what customers are coming through the door until they come through.
Yeah.
But what's tough at this data to look at in front of you is it's not really sharing incidents, it's sharing like number of students. So if one incident has 5 kids, it inflates this number, right? So it's like, oh, there's, there's one altercation so far, which I would probably say is on the low end. Next week is October, knock on something. It's great to only have one altercation. Are there kids that get frustrated with each other? They yell. I put out a few things in the past week about hold in place, and that's a security measure we use. Like, let's say there's a bell passing and there's hundreds of kids in the hallway and there's some sort of confrontation. We want to clear the hallways out so that we can ensure everybody's safe. So there's no filming, movie making, right? So that it's a quick response. So let's get everybody cleared out. Let's get those kids the support they need. They're in crisis for something. They need access to some help. So, you may see, oh wow, that's another hold in place, but we will use that when it's needed to keep hallways clear and kids safe. Nobody's locked down in a hold in place. It's really just get in your classroom and let's get to business, and let's get out of the hallway. So, but I would say in terms of one altercation, I would love no altercations, but one is probably less than certain years have been and potentially more than other Septembers have been. Overall, and I have some students here that volunteered their time to come tonight and share about the opening of the school year, because I think the sentiment you could ask teachers was, wow, this is a really strong, positive start to our school year. We never want to jinx ourselves, but it really felt really energized and positive. So what we try to do is deal with these negative situations as they arise, but not dwell on them as common or as the majority, because they're really not. And a lot of these kids come to us with a lot of trauma and crisis that is not addressed outside of school. And so we are the support system to get them help. There's a lot of conflict in their lives oftentimes, and we do the best we can to try to help them. But that being said, sometimes we are the receivers of things that are not great intentions, and we have to deal with them on the spot. We also would always prioritize transparency, even if we know it might be scary, even if we know that that could be upsetting. I'd rather be upfront and transparent about this is what's happening in the building, so we can have respectful dialogue about how to fix some of these issues that are coming up, because they're not specific to Cohoes, right? They're specific to society. We need to think about them in general and how we can do the best, that we can do with what we have. And are we missing any tools in our toolbox that we should have, because we have to meet the kids that are in front of us now, not programs that we've had for 10, 20 years. We need to be as current as possible with these are the issues today, these are the kids we're getting today, so these are the programs we need today. They may look very different than what a typical program or support has looked like. So I think thinking outside of the box, calling and talking with BOCES about what does your virtual learning academy look like, just thinking about what are some other things we can do to meet kids' needs today that they have.
As we have those discussions, are we pulling in kids and parents and community resources as well, or is that?
It depends on what the discussion is, right? So I think, when it's something widespread, oftentimes it might come up at a PTO meeting, and there may be discussion at the PTO meeting. Our building leadership team with our parent liaison, we had a lot of discussion on student achievement and test scores at the beginning of the year. How do we, so yeah, it depends on that. If it's, hey, I think of, I'm seeing an uptick in medical notes for anxiety. I wonder if these students could benefit from a virtual learning academy where they don't have to physically come into a school that's busy and chaotic, right, with lots of kids. Then that discussion I might have with my team, with Peggy, with the counseling team to say, hey, could some of these students benefit from a less stressful environment?
But then in that case, it's then a one-on-one with the parent and
Yeah.
the student prior, just to
Yeah.
talk about and get input.
Well, I just want to comment that, of course, your data has it all for the newer kids coming into your school that don't know the rules and the expectations that you clearly put out to your kids. And you can see that 11th, 12th grade kids are dwindling.
Right.
So for you, I just have to commend you and all your staff, because it is definitely known in the community that you have the pulse of what is going on in your school. So you can clearly see it, that it's, the new kids that are coming into your school that just aren't used to the rules and the responsibilities of what go along with being in a school. So I commend
Testing the
you.
waters.
There's expectations.
Yeah, no, and I commend you.
Love you still, but there's expectations.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what students need. And so I just want to call attention to those.
Thank you.
And I think beyond anything, we appreciate the transparent communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of great things happening in all of our buildings, and oftentimes we send out the positives. And we struggle with the challenges. And so I think it's good for us to make sure that we are writing the narrative in factual information, what occurred on the day, rather than maybe Johnny reporting back to mom and dad about, the
We're reading it on Facebook at the end of the evening.
the rumor mill fly. So
The kids know what's going on.
yeah,
anyway.
and I, so this is not like a spotlight to say that, there is a problem, or that there is like this, widespread issue. Really, I think it's good for us to understand where we are, because, in building budgets, we do need to support the out of the box, types of programming that you're talking about. And so, certainly I think that we would all be more than willing to have those conversations to, with any of our buildings, to make sure that we're giving you the tools that you need to be successful. So.
Absolutely.
100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now you have some people to introduce.
Can I introduce myself?
Absolutely.
I have Cheese and Hiba here with me tonight, who are just outstanding. Hiba's so fabulous, she had to get ready, it took her a few extra. great, it's all great. They are not only Future Ready Pathway students, but they were handpicked this year to be elevating student voice representatives at BOCES in the capital region with all of our students that we thought could really speak about what's going on in Cohoes High School. They are energetic, maybe a little shy right now, but energetic overall. They're involved in a lot of things. They come to the office to kind of say, hey, what's going on? Can I help with these things today? So we just love students like Chase, but they're just amazing. So I want to turn it over to them. I don't want to steal their spotlight. They came and had some really good ideas about what they wanted to share from the student perspective of what school has been like for them. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Good evening, everybody. I'm doing as well. The beginning of the school year has been notably successive and like smooth, and it's been going extremely well from my perspective, I would say. Me and Chase can both agree that the staff and the faculty has just gotten so much more involved and included in the students' lives. And I think that it's like really great because in middle school, I was just like so scared that the faculty and stuff, they're all like against us. They want to like get us in trouble. But like, I realized now that they're really just here to help us and push us to our full potential. Right.
Geez, I know something.
To say was middle school was a little stressful because that's when we started to begin, transferring from classes to classes. Work was given, there was a lot of work given, but it wasn't hard, but it was still stressful to, maintain average and to just make sure you just pass, But it was fun and stuff, but it was still stressful, so.
What are some of the things you guys like to be involved in at the high school? What do you like to do?
I love personally volunteering. I think it's great. I love helping people. I love seeing people smile after being like, thank you so much. You helped me so much. And it's just like anything I can help with. And me and Chase, we both like love getting included with the school. Like as shy as he is and as much things that I'm involved in already, I think just helping the school is probably like one of the things we like the most. Like we're in a lot of programs such as Future Ready Pathways, we're in Elevating Student Voices. We would not necessarily turn down an opportunity like that. And I think that's just great. That's all I have to say.
What grades are you guys in? 10th grade,
10th
both of
grade.
you?
Yes.
So compared to how you felt last year to how you're feeling this year, you said that it's
been great, honestly. Like we've noticed, like we've just gotten so much help. Like that's the thing that I've noticed the most.
And a lot of guidance too. So.
Yes, definitely. Miss White and people such as her, they've just always come to help us whenever they sense a problem. They're like, hey, are you okay? They're always checking in on us. Like frequent counselor meetings, frequent visits to the office, not even for that. And whenever I go to the office now, I'm happy to be there. Trouble, I know, I did nothing wrong.
You did the announcement, right? You did the-
I do also do the morning announcement.
Oh, that's awesome.
Vice president of the student council for 2 years running. Like you can obviously tell I love school. Like I just love being involved.
So now you two are very involved, obviously, and you put yourself out there. Do you feel that that's the feeling from a lot of the kids
I would
at school right now, that
majority.
they feel comfortable coming to the events and going to their teachers and?
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of the students here have like really close bonds with like the teachers. They're always like sitting in their rooms for lunch. We're always just saying hi to each other. And as for the events, it's always packed in there. Like later today, there's gonna be the powder puff. I can just assume that there will be a lot of chaos, but like the good kind.
Well, that game's always a favorite.
Like all of the events so far, they've been really festive and like just very good overall. Like a lot of students, they come, like the volleyball games, everybody's cheering their team on. Whenever we make a score, everybody's cheering. And yeah.
Always positive edge.
There is. Like everybody's prone to mistakes. Like our school isn't like perfect. Nothing is. Like nobody's perfect like that. And I think as many mistakes we do, like, all of our positive you want that make up for it. All of our positivity and all of our like contributions to just like keeping the school safer and a happier place for everybody. It just makes up for all of the little tiny mistakes we have, you know, like everybody.
Like everyone,
Mhm.
we're all learning.
We're all, this is our first life. We both-
Exactly.
Like,
Very
So I,
nice way to put it.
so I don't know how much you know about what we do, but our primary roles are to make policy and to budget for things. So as students, what, and you don't have to answer now because I would be thrilled, I'm sure we all would, if you came back to visit and regularly update us. What can we do for you to make your experience even better? Funding or policies or what's missing that we can support you? Think about that kind of thing, because Mrs. Tarlow and her do a phenomenal job. Your teachers are amazing, by the way,
Absolutely.
right?
I agree.
And they really do love you. But what can we do on a larger level to support you and make it even better?
On a larger scale, I would say like, I'm not really sure that you guys already do this, but I would say monthly check-ins, like take like walks around the school, see what you can change personally from your perspective, what can make it better. Like our perspective, I think everything can have like a little like jump, like everything can be better. Like it's not ever just perfect. And I think if you guys could just like, sometimes just like, come on over, see what you can, yeah.
Oh, we're coming.
I know.
I would say most of everything can be perfectly considered.
I mean, we don't have a lot of money to get. Hashtag goals for us.
I think that's just great.
All right.
Like the fact you guys are even worried about our opinions is, I
course
think
we
that's
are.
very valuable and something that we cherish a lot. That you guys even just care about the students like that.
So you're the whole reason that we're here, and we
Yeah.
want to make sure that
You
you're
don't see
supported.
that like a lot everywhere. Like principals don't just ask random students to like come on over, give us their opinions, because most of them don't really care that much.
We're asking you to come on back soon,
Of course.
okay? Collect information, poll your people, bring it back.
Actually, I'm going to put a little bug in your ear. So Governor Hochul just passed that starting in July, a student has to be on the school board for the city or the district, sorry, the district. So putting a little bug in your ear, starting in July, that will start happening. So think about it.
I think that's great.
It is. Come on, Chase.
No. Sit right here.
He's just nervous because he's never been around this many adults at once.
So we're going to start talking about the rules and the regulations about how those students or that student has to be chosen around January. And I feel like that's a really great time for you all to come back and give us an update if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We're talking about it at the high school.
Then you can be part of the conversation about how students are chosen too. Yeah?
Is it like just one student or is there a rotation?
That's part of the conversation.
We have to figure
it out. Yeah, we set the rules. As long as one of you or more of you are here at the table with us. But come
That'd be
be
great.
part of that. All right, so we'll see you in January.
Of course.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the powder puff game tonight.
Right, and I know that you need to leave soon for the powder puff. So next on the agenda is the capital project update, and Patty Murray is joining us, and do you want the clicker?
Sure, I'll take it.
It's a tough act to follow, Patty.
Yeah, I know, sure. So we're here just to give you guys an update on everything that we accomplished over the summer. Hopefully everybody's happy now that they're back in the classrooms and some of them look a little different and fresher. So first, I'm going to do a quick update on phase one, which most of that was last summer, but we had the elevators that kind of lingered over into now, due to the long lead time to get the materials that they need for the elevators. So although we did the procurement early on and got all their submittals approved so they could get all their material, there was still a bit of a delay. But we eventually got them started, and the elevator at Harmony Hill is substantially complete. We were able to turn that over. The only thing left to do there is to change out the floor. They had to go and get permission from the elevator company to make certain adjustments to the floor within. Now that they have that direction, we're working on scheduling them to get in there and finish the floor. And that man Skype, the elevator company is over there now working on that one, and they're almost complete. Early next week, they'll start doing the cab finishes, which will be the last part of that. And the electrician is also getting in there with them to finish up their work too, so that we can then get that inspected and turn it back over to the district. Anybody have any questions about that?
Is Van Skyke without an elevator right now then?
So there's 2 elevators in that space. They were able to use that other elevator, and we made sure to clear it first with Jacqueline so that she was okay with it.
And I noticed on Mark's opening day, the Harmony Hill elevator was not working.
Not,
School started.
not until 2 days in, correct?
Yeah, there was a day or two, the first inspection that they had failed, because there's life safety things that have to pass, and we got the first one passed, which was the telephone issue, that elevator never had a working phone, so that was fixed. And then when they did the fire alarm recall, so they have to be able to recall the elevator to come to certain floors in the event of a fire. And that did not work, but unbeknownst to the contractors and us, there was an issue with the infrastructure from the fire alarm system that was installed back in 2010 that wasn't allowing that to happen. So we quickly reacted and got in touch with everybody we could to get that fixed, and then the inspection redone to pass. Any other questions on the elevators? Okay, so over at Avon Lansing, so we did the refresh to the library, we took out the old carpet and installed new LVT flooring. There was a little bit of control valve replacement throughout the school, and then of course the exterior refurbishment with the beautiful new colors right up the stage. There's a couple things that are going to continue with the window screen replacement, so they did do some of the window screens, but then some of them required a new frame system to go with those casement windows. So that material is just taking quite a while to get fabricated, and they expect to have that in by mid-October, and then we'll work out something with Cliff to get them in there on second shift and which rooms they'll be in for what period of time, so we can get that finished. And then next summer, we have planned for the elevator refurbishment and fire alarm system work. Any questions about Avon Lansing? So there's some of your before and after pictures with the different colors and how much brighter and fun it looks now. It's did a great job picking up the yellow. It's very so over at Harmony Hill, so we converted the space there to the gym storage room and then the 2G storage room, and then there was the window replacement. Some of the upcoming work that we have to do is the ADA curb ramp work, the fire alarm system, and there'll be punch list work to do over there as well. Any questions about what was done at Harmony Hill?
I guess I don't understand the constraints on manpower for the fire alarm and manpower for ADA work.
Trying to explain why this work is still in place right now. So the electrician is doing the fire alarm work for all the buildings, and when we laid it out in the contract, we kind of just said that we expect it to be continuous from one school to the next, and that is what they're doing, but so it's just not quite the same as what we laid out in the original schedule. They couldn't get enough manpower to go to all the schools at the same time, but it is going continuous like we originally planned. So it's just kind of letting you know that that's why that work is still upcoming work. And same for the ADA work. That was the same company that was doing all of the field work at the high school. And they couldn't get another crew to go over and do the ADA work. They were focusing so much on getting that alumni field turned over that they didn't want to take manpower away. So that just had to extend a little bit further out than we had originally planned for. Any other questions? So here's the photo of Harmony Hill. This is what the storage room looked like before. This is when we were under construction, and this is the after. This is one of the resource rooms, and then this is the gym storage room. And then over at the site, we were some roof and skylight work done. They flashed in around all of the skylights. And then after that work was completed, they were able to go into the gym and do some plaster work on that ceiling and then ceiling. They replaced that front exterior door, did some masonry pointing around that front exterior point as well. And then down at the cafeteria, they had to do that little masonry wall bump out. And it's the same thing with the 88 curb work. They started that over there. They finished the sidewalk portion, but there's still more work to be done with the striping. And we're trying to get that scheduled potentially in October before the weather turns. And then the upcoming work that's planned for next year there is the fire alarm. Questions about Wednesday? We're so quiet on Sunday, right here. So then we were doing the plaster repair to the gym ceiling, and then they painted it. Pictures of the front door when it was in progress. Skylight, so we originally just did the flashing, but then looking at the condition of the skylights, we ended up changing out all the skylight covers to by change order. And then that's makes me bump out down by the cafeteria. They put additional steel support in it. And then over at the middle school, this is where we had the majority of the work. This is what we were pushing really hard to get this finished in time for school to start. So science classroom renovations, they had window replacements. There was 2 windows that got replaced. Canopy roof and deck replacement, that's out in the back, that was a small one. We had a hot water heater replacement, the second floor bathrooms got renovated. Plaster repairs and painting, so when we bought that in the original schedule, we bought it for both summers, knowing that it was quite expensive. So this summer, they were able to do the corridor work as well as the library and here this evening. The only area that they didn't get to this summer was the front facade, which we kind of expected all along, the interior, the old waste there. They did do some of the pointing with the masonry up front, that's not coming yet, and then they did the roof work. That all that work had to take place first before they could do that interior plaster, so that's why that part will be next summer. And then there's a little bit of work at the roof at the gym, window balancing to be done. They did a lot of window balancing over the summer, but there was more to be done, and they ordered more material for that. And that's expected to come in the first week of October, and then they're on second shift to address any of those windows. Fire escape, so they were able to work on the fire escapes. They did the steel refurbishment, but they didn't get to painting it, and that's like a 3-day process, so there's not really a time frame now that they can get that in. So we checked with the design team, they said it was fine to leave the steel repair the way it is, and they'll come back and do the painting next summer. And then next summer work would be the ADA, the fire alarm, the elevator refurbishment, and then here, this is the science room. Here's what it was like before. This is what it was like on construction, and then the final result of the classroom. Here's the bathrooms that were renovated on the second floor. This is originally the final floor, but they changed that concrete epoxy floor. We put in new stalls, new sinks, toilets. Any questions on the middle school? And then high school, work that's done, and then we did the exterior columns here. This work was all going to be scheduled for next summer, but we have that one that we try to get that out to power off and clean up all that front. They were doing the panel replacements because it's a long time on those panels. So that part will be next summer, but at least we could get it cleaned up and make it look fresher for the time being. There was abatement in the one corridor that we waited until there was a break and there was no students coming into school, that was completed. Fire alarm, has been ongoing, we're in the double fire alarm at high school by the end of October. And then our work that we have planned for, next summer is the baseball and softball field, elevator, the column placement panels, and then the summer classroom renovation, as well as the roadways and the lot. We have the field on separate. Its own little monster, so. This is just a breakdown of everything that we're able to complete at alumni field. There's a couple things that were left in progress. We're transparent about that one, and so we knew there'd be a couple things hanging open, but they're almost complete with all of those items in the next day. And then right now we're doing the track coding. We didn't think that we were going to be able to get that in right now, but with Jeff's help and arranging some of his games, we were able to coordinate it so that the track surfacing is actually going to start tomorrow. Weather doesn't look the best, so, but they will get a little bit in tomorrow and keep progressing on that to get that finished by October 3rd so that it's done for before, so you guys have your homecoming.
Addie, a question came up with the track with the, what's encircling the field, between the field and the track. Can you address that?
Yeah, the drainage, so was it, that was with the slip concerns with the kids playing?
During soccer?
Yeah, so it's hard to say that I wasn't there and I didn't see that, but I did talk to Jeff. We did talk to him about it and we talked to the design team. And it seems like because the rubber surface isn't down yet and it's just asphalt and they're running on the turf and then they have those turf shoe cleats and when they run, I think they're slipping. But like I said, that rubber goes down starting tomorrow. So once that's down, that should alleviate that.
So the concerning spot is there's a strip of metal between where the asphalt is and where the turf starts.
Yeah. So
and that's where they're hitting and slipping.
Rubber will meet up.
Rubber will coat that? Okay.
And the boys were slipping on the asphalt, so there were two different concerns, yeah.
That, what I saw yesterday was.
The rubber,
On the metal,
yeah.
right on the metal.
Yeah, so it was two different concerns.
Yeah, so with the rubber surface going down, that should alleviate both of those issues. There's a photo of your scoreboard before, your scoreboard, I was at the game on the 20th, and everybody was saying how nice it was to be able to actually see what the score was, and how nice it was. We did it for the bleachers, and the new ones are very nice, starter ones that we put on there. And the field all finished. And then you guys want to play your little slide shows, everybody can see how cool it was. How can I do that?
Hit the escape on the middle keyboard
Okay.
and then plays on the left. Tap where it says CS search and you should see the menu options. Yep. And then a slideshow on the right side.
Any questions about this motion? So here's just a little summary on page one, where we stand with, our contingency money, so we really didn't spend much of our contingency for phase one. Phase two, brief summary of the changes and process changes and, money that we have left. We have a different pots of money, we have the allowance that's built into their contract, and we have a construction contingency. And then, we're just tracking that as percentage, making sure that, we're getting through, and we're 45% left of the contingency, 38% left of their allowance. So total still remaining for any changes or foreseen conditions before. Question?
I just want to say, like, no questions, but feedback, I think it has been very positive. The quality of the work, just how, our teams have been able to navigate through the summer with a lot of different challenges. I know that our teams have been very, patient, but, your teams have also been very easy to work with, on that end of that collaborative pieces. So I want to thank you for that. As far as the track goes, I think that everybody's very excited, which can be seen in the audience participation. We've had a lot of people at our events, which is really great. And, we're hoping that that continues. And, the only thing I've heard is can't wait for baseball.
Yeah.
I think people are looking forward to, having these facilities kind of at a level where they haven't been before. So thank you to your team for their hard work. I know that it has been a push, and we have been pushing to get things on time just because of, certain commitments and what we have communicated to our community. And so appreciate you working with us to help get these things move forward and to try and stay on timeline as much as possible. Still a priority. Obviously, the budget piece as well, looking at the contingency and what we have and, what we've had to go through. So do appreciate working with us and with Joe here to make sure that we're in a good position. So
My pleasure.
Additionally, I was speaking with the varsity girls coach tonight, and he made a comment about how proud the girls are. Like he said, they're just so proud to have been playing on that field. He goes, they played the first game on the new alumni field, and they got their butts kicked and they lost like 0-6. It was, but he said they walked off that field still so proud of, just the entire environment. So, which was a nice.
It was really fun. I was there when they first came up and they showed up, they're walking out, they're like, wow, they're like, this is so awesome. So
Yeah.
that's what we like. Nice to see them happy. Yeah.
What does Mr. Neal say? Look good, feel good, play good, or?
It's that third thing.
Which our varsity boys and our varsity football team have both had nice wins on that.
Yes,
field.
they did.
New attitude, new digs, new attitude. Very excited. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, thank you
Important
very
piece.
much.
One other question I did have. So I know that we're talking about putting the track rubber down tomorrow, but it's going to rain. If that's pushed, what's the chances it's going to hinder next weekend's activities?
It shouldn't hinder next weekend. We told them that they had to be finished, and they can work the weekend, and they always have the weekend as an option for makeup days. So the plan is then to be done before you guys need to be on that field on the 4th.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather, if you want to go to the Powder Puff game too, you can go. You can go to the Powder Puff game too.
Sure.
Oh, my God, yes.
Go support those kids.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna come with you.
No,
I-
no, stay. Stacy, I'm sorry I made you have less audience, but now I'm going to turn it over to you.
So, business office update, we did have the auditors, MMB, in 2 weeks ago to do the field work for the financial audit. So there's still some open items that we're working on getting over. So I will provide updates as they become available. The audit is going to be a little bit late because of the transition period. We will have a finding for journal entries. So there's some journal entries. One was made in the wrong color, and some that were duplicated. So we'll have a finding for that.
Material.
But no, it's not a deficiency, but yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
The ST3s are also late, but I'll work on that as soon as I finish the audit. On tonight's agenda, we're funding the capital reserve, 2 million. During the audit, historically, we were allowed to fund the debt service reserve, but this team does not allow that. They said that that has to be funded only with unspent bond proceeds, which we don't know if we're going to have unspent bond proceeds yet, because we're not at the conclusion of the capital project. So I'm going to have you rescind that the next time we meet. And tonight you're acting to fund the 2 million, and that's the cap. The voters authorized that, and I think it was 2018. A total of 5 million. We funded 1 million. We funded 2 million. This is the last 2 million. So we'll put that towards, I'll call it phase 3, but we'll have to re-meet and talk about things that were taken off the table, things that have come up, but then reprioritize through a facilities committee. So that's what that will go towards. We're not at a deficit situation. It's just, we have a lot of needs and we'll be able to fulfill those needs without borrowing, that's all. So fund balance will be a little bit higher than I had planned for as a result of that. That is it for me.
Stacy, fund that at the time of audit, the fund balance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to amend the reserve plan because of this new information. But we do that in the fall anyways, so I'll just modify it for the new information and we'll make the adjustment in the reserve plan. We'll talk about it publicly and then you can act on it later on. We usually act on it like early December before the budget process, as far as planning purposes go.
And that will include our 5-year.
5-year outlook, yeah. I do the reserve plan first typically, and then the 5-year following meeting, yep.
This is good news. You're funding the local share of the anticipated next phase.
Right.
So it's already going to minimize the burden, if any, on the taxpayers.
Yeah,
Without borrowing.
without borrowing. So the difference is we'll have to include whatever we spend this 2 million on, we'll have to include it on a vote, a public vote. So either we'll do it with this vote coming up, or we're probably not going to be ready to do it for this year. It'll be the year out. So that's the difference. The public authorizes what we spend it on. Okay.
But it's expensive to borrow money right now, so.
It is. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good things. We have lots of needs.
The traffic patterns.
Should have.
Any other questions for Stacy before we move on? So on the agenda tonight, there is a resolution to dispose of a number of library books at April Lansing. I know your stack of scans was huge. You don't know this, but we're going to be working with you in the very near future to try to figure out how to get it all in one scan versus 3 separate scans. But I asked Mr. Burr to talk a little bit about this because we had some questions about the books, what condition they were in, if students got any books, and then also how we're going to refresh the selections. And I liked all your answers, so that's why you get to say them. Mr. Bird.
Thanks. So I will start with, it's been a decade and a half since any of the elementary schools have had. All of us have been working with excellent part-time aides who are walking the line between keeping our libraries running and not crossing over into stuff with CTA. Thank you. I know Bernie Glenn has been my library aide since the librarian actually was moved to high school years ago. So she's been doing a great job, but she's not a librarian. So we really haven't done any excising of books in 15 years. 2 years ago, several of my teachers wanted to refresh the library. They started working on it. We actually worked with an association to try to get a librarian to be paid to come in over the summer. Didn't happen. There weren't any libraries available. So when we were facing the fact that we were getting to refresh our library with paint brand before, which by the way, you saw pictures are amazing, it seemed kind of silly to pack up books and unpack books that shouldn't be in the library in the first place. So we used our follow-up system that we checked books out of, and we got what's called the Dusty Book Report, books that had not been checked out of the library for 5 years or more. It was almost half of our collection. So we took that advice to remove them. And then I also said to Bernie, make a list of the books that are well loved that probably shouldn't be in the library. Towards the end of the year, we did offer some kids to be able to take books home. We also filled some of the new free libraries that have been throughout my secretary. But that she took boxes, like former secretary, took boxes of books and filled the free libraries all throughout the city codes. And then books that just shouldn't be in anyways. It's on their list now. Over the summer, I tried to refresh as many of the well-loved books that she gave me a list of. Some of them were actually out of print, so that was hard to do. I will say that it's funny that I don't have a librarian because I'm also on the Capital Region School Library Board, and I'm also on the library board for the book library. So I started thinking around, where do I, without a librarian, where do I start to really get books to start infilling what's missing? And then there's this thing called the Junior Library, Junior Library Guild, which I started with last year. Towards the end of the year, we pay them a fee. And every month they hire librarians across the United States to look at the new books that are coming in. I selected 15 genres that I'm going to be interested in: nonfiction for little kids, nonfiction for big kids, fiction, mysteries. Decided to fall into the manga phase as well. So every month we get 15 of the freshest books coming out that are selected by librarians all across the United States. It's like Christmas every month.
To add to our collection? Or
Yes, to our collection. It's all brand new books, books that we don't have a librarian to help us pick.
saying that.
Hey, librarian, I'm going to say that again before. But I'm paying now librarians all across the United States to pick the 15 best books in those genres. We got them over the summer as well, so we're probably on the 10th month of starting to get really good. Phil will get that all this year, and I'm going to continue that as long as I'm around. suggest that my successor does it.
Are you,
We're in
are,
good hands.
are you picking out the books?
Nope. Books are chosen by librarians across that are selected.
Okay.
So no, I don't suggest it, no, I'd be picking out catalogs.
That's why I asked.
Representative of our students.
That's what I was gonna, I was like, culture, response.
Right, exactly.
I can show you, we can refresh this later on. I can show you how all the check marks in cultural, and then what specific genre that we thought the kid would be interested in based on all the information. And so, yes, we took care of all the ones that we knew kids really liked that had been worn out. And now we're filling in the library. And I can tell you, I've asked Bernie to look at this. When the new books come in, they go out within 2 weeks. So we're getting good selection of books that they can.
Are we sharing nicely with our colleagues?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Are we sharing with our colleagues in other buildings?
I would be happy to explain to the other two administrators how the library.
We're sharing of best practice instead of best books. However that works.
I will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We appreciate that.
I do want to say though, Mr. Byrd, you really have expanded your sharing skills over the past couple of years, wouldn't you say?
Witness.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So as you're getting new books in, are you distributing titles to teachers or like, how is that getting disseminated?
Bernie puts that, there's a display, he has a specific display when the new books come in.
Okay.
So the teachers. I also, towards the end of last year, we started to buy books that we wanted teachers to be aware of to use in the classroom as well, because one of the things we've been trying to do is have a teacher utilize, we get 4 or 5 every month read aloud books. We want the teachers to read them aloud in the classroom, and then they go out when the kids take them home and show their parents. So we do have a whole system using teachers aware, having a display of what new books are coming.
It was definitely a hot topic in the diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, for sure. What is in our libraries, how we're communicating, what new is coming in. So I'm glad that we're making steps towards that. So thank you for taking that initiative on.
Pushed by my teachers who wanted the library.
Good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Take any of the.
Well, thank you very much.
Impressive. Thank you for that. Mr. Perry, do you have something constructive to add?
Yes.
Thank you.
We haven't waited 15 years. We decided over the years that we look at the books in our circulation, the same way that Cliff did. We look to see how often they were pulled out. But we developed a very good relationship with Barnes and Noble over the years, and they were able to go through all the new books and so forth. Not sophisticated, obviously, as we first talked about it, but they select X amount of books for our library. So we've been regenerating our library over the years. It's a much better circulation. We have sections of books that represent the culture that are represented by our population. As you know, we have probably 60 to 65 ELLs, and there's a tremendous opportunity to meet their needs. So now we have books that there's 1 page in English, 1 page in Portuguese, 1 page in Spanish, 1 page in English. It's a really nice representation of our kids. We've been doing that over the years, and now, like I said, we have some integrated, but we also have complete sections in each.
Do we have a district level catalog, or do you all have access to each other's catalogs? Can you?
If you use Follett, it was one of the
Yeah, okay.
And then we can access books throughout the east. But because we don't have a librarian, I also get all the emails.
It's a dying breed.
When, like a librarian is looking for a set of books. We do the same very well, so a notification. I know we've shared books once or twice. So I should. But we also.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This library.
Enough audience principal
Spend a
participation.
minute.
Share. They deal with sharing books.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
I speak for Jack.
She appreciates that.
Just one thing to add, so as part of the DI committee, there is a list of books representing various cultures and that was shared throughout the district. And thank you to Kim Angus, our ENL teacher, for compiling that. Before I close, I just wanted to mention as a follow-up to the capital project, we would love to have you come and check out each school and see the changes. So we can either arrange some times that will work for majority of you or arrange individual visits. I just want to make sure it is pretty, I mean, it's pretty amazing walking through and seeing, I was in Mr. Moriella's science class and he,
I was just gonna say, I would love to go to the science classroom and see.
So I'll put something out and it doesn't, it can be according to your.
And also mark your gym storage.
Yeah.
Mr. Dent, I'd love to show you around.
We can.
Talks about it, he videotapes it and sends it to the other PE teachers, says, nah.
Flexible and just, so I will share that. And then just in closing, some upcoming events. I'm not going to read through them all. As you know, it's homecoming. I do want to mention that right before the homecoming football game at 6:30 is when we will be having the ribbon cutting. You will be receiving invites from the high school and we will be sharing the information right along with the big scissors. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions on any of that before we move on? No. All right, moving on to the agenda. Is there any board discussion of agenda items?
Actually, I have one question. With the transportation contract, do we just not have real alternatives?
So we did canvass several of our neighbors, and they exercised the same contracts, same vendors. There is a bus driver shortage. The vendor did ask us for some grace and asked us to give them till first week of October to fill the vacancies. They're actively working on it. So we did have to cancel several field trips. They weren't able to accommodate, particularly if the field trip times are during normal
I know that's
pickup and dismissal time.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember that was ironically, I'm looking at my notes from the spring where I had this same concern because we were constantly getting the games late because they're supposed to leave at the same time everyone else is getting picked up.
Is that a bid process? Like, are we in a contract right now or is it?
So we have contracts with Star and Strand for out-of-district placement, homeless, BOCES, CTE. So the transportation that's required by law. We do an RFP for the athletics and the field trips so that we have the pricing and a standard. There's not a formal contract. It's not eatable. But it's the RFP holds them to the standards in lieu of a formal contract.
I'm just gonna say from the past, too bad we don't have Brennan's bus service.
We adjust payment according.
It was definitely.
Do we not have that in our contract?
So the rates are based off of how many miles the round trip is. If we cancel, we're not charged.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
So that's in the RFP.
Thank you. Any other questions on agenda items?
I mean, just a quick question. And I don't know if you know the logistics of it and stuff, just discussing with the athletic director and stuff like that. So because our home games, for soccer, we were playing them at Aframs. So technically, and we were providing a bus. Did we have to do that? Or could we have, because I'm just thinking about like times of COVID when all the parents were responsible for bringing the kids. But I do know, that there are certain rules and regulations. If it is our home game and it's off-site, technically, do we have to provide the transportation?
What Jeff did when this became difficult and there was a pattern of being like, he did ask teams to see if the parents could drive, and that is what ended up happening to some of the games versus being late. So we do, with parent permission, we still have that ability. And so, and Jeff if all of a sudden a game also comes up because it's scheduled, a new schedule throughout the year, rescheduled, Jeff will call. Each time he'll call me, let me know, and then he'll reach out to parents. So yeah, we can still do that.
Okay.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Any community discussion of agenda items? No? With that, can I please have a motion that the Board of Education adopts the following resolutions of the September 25th, 2024 agenda? Items 6A through R, 7A through Z, 9A, and 10A and B.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mrs. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder, Mrs. Bendra,
Yes.
Mrs. Parada,
Yes.
Mr. Rose,
Yes.
and Mrs. Carey.
Yes, thank you. I just want to make note that we approve the removal of this fixed asset inventory at Cohoes High School. And Stacy, you know these tag numbers? Can you give us more information just as a reminder? Because I forgot which.
So it's obsolete kitchen equipment. There's a skillet and I call it a crust core, but it's like a warmer.
There's pictures right in the back.
Yeah,
Thank you for the reminder.
they're broken.
So they should. Thank you. All right, any comments from board members on anything that's not on the agenda tonight?
I do. I have two things, actually. My one thing I did mention when the high schoolers were here, I'm very excited to start with the student on the school board. I actually had read where other school districts have been implementing this all along. So when I read that it was Governor Hochul that had passed that, I was very excited. So I think that's a great idea, especially seeing the two children. And I say children, I hate when you call them kids, but the two young adults that came to present about the high school today. And then my second thing is that I just found out today about this mentor program that is for architecture, construction, engineering. And so I will be reaching out to Ms. Heaney now.
So Ms. Heaney's official start date, she's on the agenda, is as soon as there is a replacement.
For her.
We're doing interviews today.
Okay.
Not today, this week, sorry, and next. But you can, you can reach out to, just share it with me.
So it's actually a mentor program across the United States. It started in New York City, and it is trades, but also for engineering and architecture and stuff like that. And so they have an affiliate here in the Albany area, and they do go into the schools, and they have like a process that high school students apply to the program. And they have these meetings during like twice a week. They get to go into projects. I actually would have, Turner actually, I wanted to bring it up with them. They are a big proponent of it. And actually a gentleman that I talked to today about it said that Turner even had kids tour Cohoes High School the last time we had a major renovation done on it and everything. So the kids apply, they go through this, they have a mentor, helps them to understand, do they really want to become an engineer, an architect, go into the trade, all of that stuff. And then at the end of the year, there's a scholarship award and helps them with college. And sometimes, you know, if they decide they don't want to do it, they just save their mom and dad a lot of money. So,
So if you get it to me, I'll share it with Laura and the counselors and.
yes, actually Laura does know about it.
No, there we go.
I think I saw that through FRP.
I did not. I'm going to say I did not, just because I would have.
No, I'm saying, I think I saw it.
Oh, okay,
I
recently?
think it was sent out.
Okay. But no, and I said that I would take this on and bring this to the counselors and all that stuff. I know Laura has a lot of things on her plate and stuff that she needs, you know, like
Yeah.
tasers and stuff like that. But anyways, I just want to get it out there into the school and get it to have them start coming into the school during career day and things like that. But it's a great program. I mean, it's all free for the kids. They provide food, they provide field trips to sites. They actually have them work on a project that they have to present at the end of the year. They give away money.
Exactly the kind of career technical exposure that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
It sounds a lot to me like you're volunteering to be the board liaison for that program. Can we put you in touch with the superintendent?
Sold.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't an old board member that pushed me to do this, then I wouldn't be here. So once a school board member, always a school board member. But
Fantastic.
it actually, you know, just to go along with the whole trade of the kids going to Hudson Valley and things like that, it just gives them that, before they leave high school, that little bit of experience to let them know, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? So, and I actually have 2 high school kids that I'm putting in the program right now.
Excellent.
A seasoned veteran of the program has volunteered. Thank you very much. Questions, statements, comments? Oh, did anybody have anything else at the table? Audience, questions, comments, statements? All right, dates for future meetings, Cohoes Middle School Library, October 9th, 6 PM, October 23rd, also 6 PM. Oh, there's a typo, Miss Stacy. Sorry. We would like to get a motion to enter into executive session at 7:19 PM to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and to discuss the terms and conditions of employment of non-union affiliated employees and the evaluation of the superintendent O'Shea. Can I get a motion?
Make motion.
Thank you. I'll second that. Thank you.
Mrs. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Chandra,
Yes.
Mrs. Paradis,
Yes.
Mr. Giroux,
Yes.
and Mrs. Carey.
Yes, thank you. And we do not expect to reconvene in public. Thank you.